Hey, welcome to Ed, a podcast about the teaching life. This is Conversation 93, and I'm your host, Shane Lawrence. Ed is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. And joining me this week is LaTezeon Antoinette Humphrey Balantine. All right. Hi, how are you?
I'm all right, and yourself?
I am doing pretty good. Pretty good. Well, yeah, how was your day?
Today went okay for the most part. Right now, we're trying to prepare. I teach 10th grade ELA, and of course, they have the state test coming up. And so we're pushing the writing right now. And no one, I would say I have 100 sophomores all together, and maybe 10% enjoy writing or will put forth the effort, which is kind of, when you say 10% of 100, you're looking at 90 that are like, no, Miss Balantine, or no, Miss B, I don't want to do this. Yeah. And so I tried to make clear to them that, Miss B, I understand that you may not ever like to write, but I need to make sure that you know how to write. And as long as you know how to do it, then we're all good. You might not have to do it anytime soon or again, but as long as I know that you know how to do it and you're able to present it on that state test, that is what means the most at this moment. So trying to gear that into their heads and get them to understand how important it is. And I mean, just how important writing is, period. They need to understand that. And so that's what I've been pushing all day today. And it has been a grueling day, but we survived the Monday, and we'll be ready to get back at it again on tomorrow. So
right on. So how do you sell it to your students? I mean, you've got 90% of these kids that are, you want them to understand that writing is important. So what do you do to sell that?
Give them real life situations. I explained to them how when I received my master's, I had to take 2 exit exams, and both of my exit exams required me to write 4 essays in 4 hours. And I had to go 2 separate times, and each time it was 4 essays, 4 hours. And I explained to them how just being able to know how to write is what helped me be prepared and be able to pass those exams, because it was strictly essays. There weren't like multiple choice questions or short answer questions. It was strictly, you have 4 essays to write. Here are your topics to choose from. You write, and then you're timed. So you have these 4 hours to sit here to do that. So I explained that to them and explained just the importance of it and how important it is, especially for them on that test, because although it only counts 12 points, that could be that determining factor on whether or not they pass that exam or not. So just giving them just a real life experience from my point of view, and then just helping them understand just the importance of being able to do it day to day. And like I had mentioned before, I know it might not be something that they love to do, but I need to make sure that you know how to do it. That is the most important thing that I want to make sure that they get from writing out of my class. So
absolutely.
We go through the whole writing process and break it down, sometimes needing outlines, sometimes not needing it, trying to give them topics that they actually enjoy writing about, just anything to try to get that positive vibe and that encouragement and that motivation. Of course, bribing them with tiger books and letting them go to I started a food pantry at the school this year, and they're always in downtown, I want to go to the pantry, and I'm glad that they're motivated and wanting to go to the pantry, and that was one of the reasons why I created it. Was so, and I know I probably jumped way off subject because we were talking about writing.
That's all good. That's all good. Well, here, can we talk? Okay, this actually is like, no one has ever mentioned a food pantry before. Is this kind of reflective of the school you teach in? Is this like a necessity for a lot of students?
Well, the school that I teach at is a very low income poverty area. I did a census. I had to do something for program I'm trying to get into, and they asked for the data for the school, and we approximately have 381 students at the school, so we're a very small school.
Mm-hmm.
I have the largest grade, which is the sophomores, and they equal up to 100 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through Donors Choose, and my thing was, my kids were always coming up to me, Miss Valentine, do you have something to eat? Miss B, I'm hungry. And it just would break me because I wouldn't have anything. So I just went and Donors Choose, and I was like, I'm going to try this. And I put up Donors Choose projects to create a food pantry.
Mm-hmm.
And I raised now you can say I've raised over $2,000 in products. From Gatorades to water, apple juices, orange juices. The snacks is unbelievable, from granola bars to chips to cookies,
Mm-hmm.
popcorn, you name it. I try to make sure that I have it in that pantry somewhere for them.
Wow.
But it was definitely something that I just came up with, and it was just so that I could help those that were in need, especially some of those that might suffer from certain sicknesses or illnesses where blood sugar might get too low or something like that. They might need some orange juice, apple juice, or some crackers or something. There we go. We have access to it. Unfortunately, or I'm not going to say unfortunately, but it's a blessing to some when we have pregnant students. And I know that they're not feeding just themselves, they're feeding someone else. Ms. Valentine does not mind. Okay, let me let you go in and get you something just to, take their mind off of being hungry. And that way they're able to focus more on whatever instruction their teacher is trying to give them. So that was my reasoning behind the food pantry. I also created a hygiene closet because I would have young ladies come up, Miss B, do you have a sanitary napkin or something like that? And I'm like, oh, Miss B doesn't have one of those. But,
Yeah.
I got to the point where I keep one. I have an area for the girls and I have an area for the guys. And in the guys section, I keep deodorant, Listerine, toothpaste, toothbrush, things like that in the event that, I forgot to do that this morning. So,
Right.
okay, well, here's the toothbrush, and here's the toothpaste, go to the bathroom and go take care of what you need to take care of. And it's all done in a way where it's not noticeable. So, did you see such and such? You go to Miss Valentine's class to get that. I can't believe they forgot that. No, sometimes you forget it. I keep deodorant in my purse because there are times, I have 3 boys, so there are times when I'm running where, oh crap, I forgot to put deodorant on. And
Yeah.
I just happen to go to my purse and whoop whoop, and then you just keep going with your day. So those are the meanings behind those activities that I put together there.
Right. Wow. So I feel like I need to kind of pull back for a second here. So where do you teach?
I teach at Jefferson County High School, which is located in Fayette, Mississippi.
Okay.
If you are, our closest, I live in Natchez, Mississippi, which is about 20 miles away from Jefferson County. So I have about a 20-minute commute in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Our closest larger town, we're about an hour and a half from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay.
And we're about an hour away from Bickford. So that puts us about an hour and a half away from Jackson, Mississippi.
Right.
So
Okay.
we're like an hour and a half away from our closest airport.
Wow. And so is it a rural kind of population that you're serving?
Yes, it's
Okay.
very rural. Like I say, I'm the only English 2 teacher at my school. So pretty much each subject has one teacher. I think for the exception of maybe biology, I think there's 2 teachers in that department that teaches biology, because they also have intro to biology and then the biology courses. So I know there are 2 there. But as far as in the English department, each teacher has just that particular area of English. And so I just teach all the English 2 kids.
So, okay, you're taking care of, teachers are supposed to take care of their students, kind of top to bottom. But I tell you that if a kid asks me for a snack, I'm like, go away. Like that's the world I live in, right? If I have a cookie and they ask me for it, I lick the cookie and say, no, you can't have it. So we are in, we're in different worlds. So, how do you prioritize, just what you do in a day? Because it sounds like you're having to deal with just like literally everything. Yeah.
And then, not including per se being a counselor. I'm the one that they tend to come to about problems and issues. So I have to put that into the calendar or the schedule for that particular day. I encounter so much, but I try to just put off the positive vibe, and I try to remain personable. I want to make sure that they know that, yes, they can come to me. I thought about going into the counseling area, but when I thought about doing so, what kind of is keeping me from doing so is the fact that when you become a counselor within the school systems, you basically deal with a lot of paperwork. Right. You're dealing with creating schedules or, testing things and stuff like that. You aren't really actually dealing with the child themselves. And so as an educator in the classroom with that student, you begin to learn that student and learn about that student and their behavior and their lifestyle and all those things. So it's a lot easier for me to be able to give advice or, help a student in a situation a lot easier than it would be for a counselor, where that person is just meeting the student for maybe 2 or 3 times and might not know them by their first name and, might not know what their interests are, anything to that nature. So, I add that to the list of things too. The day stays busy. Usually if I have a break period, which right now I currently don't because we're on block schedule, and so I don't get a break throughout the day, which is just...
Yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah, no, it's not fun at all. I'm like, whenever they tell us we're not on block schedule, I'm like, yes. But even when we are not on block schedule, my off period, I still have students. And that's when they come to me to confide in me about anything that's going on, or if they need help with something, or I tell them I can help them with pretty much anything except for math. Math, I will go find the person that can help you with the math, but I am not the math person. So other than that, I tell them I can help you in any other area, but when it gets to math, we're going to go find someone who can actually help you with it.
So are you dealing primarily in those off hours? Are you dealing with sort of personal problems? Are you dealing with English, or what's that makeup?
A bit of both. English, not so much. Personal problems, yes. With the area that they're coming from, a lot of them have younger parents, so they're working several jobs or trying to work several jobs to accommodate their needs. And so, they're getting needs such as in clothing and stuff like that, but they aren't getting their needs met, such as attention and just wanting to know how my day went, that type of thing. They aren't getting that. And I have to stay on myself about that too, because my oldest son just turned 13. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a teenager now. And so I have to be mindful and make sure that I ask him, hey, William, how was your day? What went on, that type of thing, so that he doesn't feel left out and he doesn't feel like those students that I have to encounter at school.
Yeah. Well, do you ever find that you're kind of fighting just that tendency to just sort of, like, by the time you get home, you're just kind of empty and you're done? Like,
yes. I unwind when I get home. I change clothes. I get in bed. I watch the news. I watch Wheel of Fortune, and anything that comes on after Wheel of Fortune. I'm a big ABC fan. So whatever comes on that particular day, the TV is on 16, and I'm in the bed at least for a few hours, and then I'll get up and start preparing us for what we need to do, like cooking dinner and then preparing us for the next morning. So making sure clothes are picked out and all that type of stuff. But I usually try to be in bed before the 10 o'clock news. If at all possible, it's like, please be in bed before 10 o'clock news. Because my alarm is set for 5:20, and then I have another one set for 5:35. So either which way, I'm up in the 5 o'clock hour. And on top of that, I have 3 dogs. So I have to get them outside and get them situated and fed and all that type of stuff. And then I roll on to getting myself situated, and then I roll to getting the boys situated, and then we take that commute.
Wow.
So
it's
busy. It's busy.
That sounds busy. Are you happy though? You like it?
I can't complain. There are some things that I would like to do to be happier. I've just started blogging a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting into it. And I'm also I tweet all the time. I love Twitter. Twitter is like my new thing. I picked it up in November,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been going like strong on Twitter. So it's like those little things are like my outlets right now. I'm really loving the blogging right now because it's an outlet, and I hope to eventually one day be able to write a book. Um, I don't know if I ever get to that point,
Yeah.
but definitely a book is something that I'm looking into. I've been jotting down ideas and trying to get pitches together to throw
Mm-hmm.
out there. And, hopefully I have written a short story, well,
Yeah.
like a children's story, and I'm working with an illustrator. So once she's able to finish compiling all of the pictures together for the book, then we'll kind of see if we can do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, I'll just stick with blogging and, pitching ideas for a possible education book.
Right. So
Maybe
what's it going
something
to be
like
about?
Teaching from the Heart.
Yeah.
Something pertaining to education. I was thinking along the lines of teaching from the heart. Just being passionate about it and knowing that we take on so many roles. And I was gonna one thing, and I was gonna mention in my the next blog that I'm gonna write. It's just going to tell about my very first year in the classroom and how I wasn't a certified teacher, but I happened to pass both parts of my praxis, and this school in this district needed a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put me on as a long-term sub, and it was great because I was so happy to be in the classroom and have my own set of 19 fourth graders, and all was great, but the pay. When you're a substitute, you don't get holiday pay. You don't get paid during the summer. You don't have insurance. So I was dealing with a lot of those issues, but the reward was seeing my kids every day and seeing them thrive and getting those hugs. And, Miss Balantine, well, it wasn't Miss Balantine then, it was Miss Humphrey. And then Miss Humphrey, I love you. And, you're so kind. And those were the things that kept me going, even though I knew financially I was not in a great situation.
Right.
So I think that that's what my next blog is going to be about. And just, even though as school teachers, we really don't get the pay that we deserve. But when you go into that field, you need to know that you're not going into it for money. Clearly not. And then you have to realize that if you come across as someone who is personable, they're going to feed into it, and they're going to take that role on and be like, okay, and they're going to come for you. And you just need to be prepared to accept them and love them and take care of them as best you can. My most recent thing, I'm going to donate some headphones. Well, not donate, but give away. I have I did a project, and I have 10 pair of headphones. It was buy 9 and get 1 free. And I'm working out something where I can give away a pair of Sony headphones to at least one student in each of the 4 groups that I have them divided up in. Just some type of motivation to kind of get them to make sure that they're, eager and ready and prepared to take on this role of this test. So.
Yeah. Wow. So you do wow, you do a lot of work then. So with Donors Choose, so you use that. Can you tell me a bit about that? Because I've seen it kind of popping up here and there, and I see a wide variety of things going out there. I mean, what led you there, and how are you using it? This episode is brought to you by ATB. And if you're like LaTezeon, you're probably interested in things like philanthropy and community outreach. Well, ATB's got a program called 4 Directions. They've partnered with Boyle Street Community Services to create 4 Directions Financial, a place where people living in poverty or on the street have a safe, secure place to do basic banking. Since identification is often a challenge for the homeless, they allow clients to be identified through a fingerprint or eye scan. 4 Directions doesn't just bring banking to this community, it brings dignity, respect, and a sense of hope to its people. If you want to see the rest of the 4 Directions story, visit atb.com/Brian. That's atb.com/BRYAN. All right, let's get back to my conversation with LaTezeon. Wow, you do a lot of work then. So with Donors Choose, so you use that. Can you tell me a bit about that? Because I've seen it kind of popping up here and there, and I see a wide variety of things going out there. I mean, Yeah. What led you there, and how are you using it?
What led me there was I knew about it years ago, but I just never really got into it. And then around November, when I picked up Twitter, I kind of picked up Donors Choose, and I was like, let me try a project out and see how it would go. And I put a project out there, and the project was for some novels so that I could have a class set so that our kids could read that particular novel as our novel of the year. Mm-hmm. Well, that project went extremely quick, and and how it works is you're kind of like creating a grant of some sort. Mm-hmm. You're answering questions about what you need and then what you're going to use them for and all that type of information. And then you post it. And then people in return give donations that are tax deductible, and which helps. And so it motivates them to go and donate to your project. And then once your project is funded, you get really excited. Donors Choose is great about sending you your project in a nice amount of time. You use your projects, you take pictures and all of that. You send back pictures, you send back an impact letter, letting them know how it has impacted the classroom. And in some cases, you actually mail in thank you letters to go to the donors. I guess depending on how much they actually donate to your project will determine if they actually get donor letters or not.
Right.
So, and that's pretty much how it works. That's where I've raised, I've gotten food from there, computers, printer, iPad, a speaker, a microphone, you name it. I've been able to be blessed enough that people are kind and generous enough to donate their own funds. And then I'm really big about giving. I started a page called Blue Butterfly Giving, and on Twitter, it's called @BlueGiving. Yep. And on that page, I do a lot of giving. So far this year, I've given over $800 of my own money. And I don't know how, because I went and looked at the contribution sheet, and I was like, oh my gosh, I spent this much money so far this year. And I'm like, idiot, and I'm over $800. But it's just my heart. You see these projects, you just, so in my budget each month, I make an amount that I can spend on Donors Choose projects. And I would just go through and I would see projects and I would just donate to them, and I send them a nice little message and let them know that they should be the change that they want to see and that they've got this, and you be great. And you be great at it, and just something positive, just to uplift them and let them know that they are making a difference and they are contributing something positive to the world and making a change, one child at a time. So,
wow,
that's it on that part.
Wow,
so I'm hoping one day I would get it paid forward to me. I'm like, Lord, I know you say give and it will come to you. And I'm hoping that one day, it will work out in my favor. My dream is to do print model. I want to be in a magazine of some sort one day. So I'm going to hold on to that. And I'm going to go for it. You know how they were doing the one word 2019? My one word for 2019 was limitless. And I said I was not putting a limit to anything this year that I wanted to accomplish. So, so far, I've done those things with my Donors Choose project, creating the food pantry, creating the hygiene closet, and preparing my students for this test, and taking care of my children at home and making sure they're fulfilled and okay. And,
so
hopefully I continue to outlive that word limitless this year.
Yeah. Well, where's this coming from for you? I mean, you're giving away, not giving away, you're investing in other people with, quite a bit of your own money. It seemed like you've got this. No, that's a lot. That is a ton of money to be thrown out there.
Seriously, when you look at our paychecks, and I'll be honest, it's less than $2,500 a month. And with my current circumstances at home, I take care of everything in my household due to certain circumstances that are without how can I word it? That's not within my control as of right now. So because of that, I do take on a lot of other responsibilities, like household responsibilities. So I do try to make it a budget as far as in what I can donate. But sometimes I just can't help it. And so it's like, okay, Peasy, well, you sacrifice those pair of shoes this time, or you sacrifice getting your nails done this time. Donate that money to somebody's project. And that's just what I do. I just, it fulfills me to see other people happy, and it fulfills me to know that I'm doing some good somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so where's this coming from for you? Like what's the antecedent for all this?
Like I said, I hope one day it's paid forward. I just always had a heart of giving, it's whatever I have, it's to give, I can tell you, my students would come in and it's like, Miss B, can I buy that from you? And I'm like, no, why are you trying to buy this from me? Like, here, I have to put myself in their shoes and have to understand where they're coming from, where they're not used to somebody just saying, here, take this, instead of, well, it's going to cost you $1 to get that and all that. So, it's just how I don't know. It's just how I think I got it from my grandfather. If I had to go down my genealogy line, I would have to say my grandfather is a very he was a giver. He was a professor. He retired back in 2009, and I mean, to this day, people still speak very highly of him. And I just want to carry on that legacy, and so that when my name is mentioned, it's like, Miss Balantine, she really put forth the effort. She really tried. She meant a lot, or she did a lot, just so I want to leave a positive legacy wherever I go.
I love that. You mentioned earlier too, like it looks like your faith plays a role in a lot of what you do. Is that right?
Yes, I'm very big on faith. I will admit I'm not the person that's at church every Sunday at a certain time. But I have the spirit of God with me, and I know He is real, and He takes care of me. And I know that the work, I hope that the work that I do is seen through Him, and that as I've heard it worded before, He wants you to do His work so that it can be seen, and that people will believe that He's real. And just a testimony, when I was 25, I was supposed to, a doctor wanted to remove my left kidney because of something called hydronephrosis. And I went and got a second opinion, and we didn't have to do that. And I've been blessed where I haven't been sick with my kidney at all in years. I'll be 34 this year. I also suffer from supraventricular tachycardia, which is known as SVT, and that's just pretty much when your heart rate takes off, and you can just be sitting and it'll just tick and it'll just take off.
Yep.
So I have meds to help with that, but it didn't really stop me from doing much of anything. I have a cheerleading squad. I try to exercise with them when I can, and then it's like, okay, Coach B is going to take a seat. But we haven't had tryouts yet for this year, but hopefully we'll be able to have them next week, because we are way behind. Usually tryouts are in March, and I'm like, we're about to hit May, and we don't have a squad yet. So I'm hoping, with God's grace, that it all is pulled together and all works well together.
Well,
so, faith is very important.
Wow. So, okay, donors choose, food pantry, hygiene closet, 3 boys of your own, mom to like 100 kids from the sounds of it. I mean, what keeps you going?
What keeps me going? I feel like it's my purpose. I feel like it's my purpose, and it's my calling. I don't know if it is for, I think this is a stepping stone to where it is I'm supposed to be. So it's like I'm being obedient to God and doing those things that He's asking me to do right now. And it's in hopes that He's taking me to where it is that I ultimately want to be. I ultimately, like I said, I want to have a book out. I would love to do professional development speaking or motivational speaking, and just try to tell and give background and just tell my story and be able to let people know that, you know, you can persevere through pretty much anything and still maintain. One person told me one day that I walk around and I look like as if I have it all together. And in actuality, I don't. I said I am far from it. You know, at the drop of a dime, I might just crack. But my kids keep me going. My faith keeps me going. And like I said, just being obedient. And I feel like being kind and just doing those things that ultimately I would get to where it is that I'm ultimately supposed to be. So I just feel that being obedient and doing what I'm supposed to do will ultimately get me to where I would like to be.
Wow, LaTezeon. Well, it sounds like, I mean, maybe, you know, I know none of us really have it all together, but it sounds like you're doing a great job. It really does.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
So, not a problem. But so, LaTezeon, before we head off here, if people, I know you've kind of mentioned it peppered throughout our conversation here, but just let's put it all in one place. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, on Twitter, which is where I'm usually at most of the time, it is at LHB Love EDU.
Okay.
And then on Instagram, it's the same, LHB Love EDU. And then on Facebook, it's LaTezeon Humphrey Balantine.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
That's pretty good.
Instagram, Twitter.
That's enough to keep you busy.
I think with the blog, it's through WordPress. And it's also LHB Love EDU. I try to keep it all the same because you don't want to, you know, throw in a hyphen here and then 2PK, you know. So pretty much everything is LHB Love EDU, and that's ultimately me. Yep,
right on. Well, all the best. And I hope you can get that novel done so I can read it. That sounds great. The book.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this.
This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for reaching out, LaTezeon, because this is you are an inspiring person, and it's been great that you just had some time to share your life today. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, you take care, and we'll see you out there on the Twitterverse.
All right. Likewise. Thank you so much.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. This week's episode of Ed is brought to you by the Alberta Podcast Network. It's a network of Alberta-made podcasts covering almost every topic imaginable. And I don't know about you, but I found this conversation with LaTezeon pretty inspiring. And if you'd like to hear more stories about inspiring women, you can check out the Girl Tries Life podcast. Each week, Victoria Smith interviews inspiring women to show that there are many different ways to live an incredible life. You can hear tangible ways to achieve your goals and your dreams. You can check out the podcast at girltrieslife.com and all the other Alberta Podcast Network shows at albertapodcastnetwork.com. And if you'd like to get in touch or you'd like to be a guest on this show, you can email me at theedpodcast@gmail.com or hit me up on Twitter at theedpodcast. If you'd like to listen to more of Ed, head over to the website, theedpodcast.podbean.com, or find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcatcher of your choice. Just search up Ed Conversations. Ed can also be heard on Voice Ed Radio. It's 24-hour internet broadcasting devoted to the best ideas in education. Just head over to voiced.ca. So, on behalf of myself and LaTezeon, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.